some of the class rules for online learning before we start. So I want you to be prepared and be on time. Turn on your camera. Only turn on your microphone if you are going to respond to or ask a question. Avoid and do not be a distraction to others. Use the chat only to post relevant comments or questions. And last but not the least, use appropriate language. This is still a classroom. Time check. We still have 50 seconds remaining before we start our lesson for today. Last 10 seconds. And time is up. Okay. So basically, our lesson for today is all about the respiratory system. Now, let's have a short introduction of what is a respiratory system. The respiratory system is also known as the human breathing process or system of the body. Now, this is Sir Daryl presenting to you your lesson for today. Okay. Now, let us start. Let us have the different organs of the respiratory system. Of course, the main gateway of the respiratory system is what we call the nose. It is where your air goes in and out. That's why it is the gateway of the respiratory system. Now, I just want you to inhale. Okay, very good. And then just simply exhale. Okay, you see? That is how your nose or the air enters to and goes out of your nose. Now, let's proceed to your nasal cavity or nostrils. The nasal cavity is lined with the tiny hairs called cilia. Now, what is the main function of this cilia? It traps dirt, it filters the air that you breathe in, and there is a mucous membrane that secretes a sticky fluid for the protection of your nasal cavity. Next, let's proceed with pharynx or throat. Your pharynx or throat is a narrow space located right after the mouth and the nose. So, let's have this one. How about your larynx or voice box? The larynx or the voice box is the organ that connects the pharynx and the trachea. It contains the vocal cord that produces sound when vibrated by air. Basically, your larynx or voice box is oftenly used if you are about to speak. So I just want you to try this one. Say letter A, E, I, O, and U. Now, I just want you to touch your trachea or your voice box along with your Adam's apple and then say the letters with me. Say A, E, I, O, and U. Very good. As you say the letters, I I just want you to notice that there are vibrations as you produce those sounds. That is where your larynx or voice box is located. It is just right after your pharynx and your trachea. It is in the middle of your pharynx and your trachea. Next, the air conducting structures of the respiratory system. The first is your trachea or your windpipe. It is a tube which is approximately 5 inches in size and located right after the larynx. Basically, the function of your trachea serves as a passageway for air that goes in and out of the lungs. Next, the trachea is the main stem in which it will be divided into two small tubes known as your bronchi. in which those small tubes is connected in your right lung and your left lung. Okay, so from the trachea, from a single stem, it will be broken, or it will be splitted into two stems, and those stems that inserts into your right lung and your left lung is called as your bronchi. How about the bronchial tree? The bronchial tree branches out of the bronchi. So as what you have seen in this picture. Okay, and the smallest subdivision of your branches are what we call as your bronchioles, which lacks cartilage tissue. So I just want you to notice that we just started from a single stem. It narrowed down into two bronchial tube, or two bronchi, and those bronchi branches into some kind of stem that looks like a tree, and those smaller stems is known as your bronchioles. Okay. How about the air sacs? The air sacs, they look like a bunches of grapes. Now, if the question goes like this, which of the following looks like a grape, a bunches of grapes in the respiratory system? Of course, you need to answer air sac that is composed of your alveoli. Now, some structures doesn't contain bunches of grapes. Somehow some questions goes like this: tiny bubble-like structure. You just need to answer, of course, air sac. Now, inside those air sacs are alveoli. Sir, what does alveoli do? Alveoli do, it diffuses the oxygen and carbon dioxide into your capillaries. Okay, it is where the carbon dioxide and oxygen, you know, exchanges. And I just want you to take note that alveoli is surrounded by capillaries, in which the capillaries is just surrounded by it is where your arteries and your veins meet. Okay. Now, how about the diaphragm? A diaphragm is a smooth muscle located below the lungs. It works with the lungs during the breathing process. So, of course, without this diaphragm, without this diaphragm, your lungs will not be expanding or collapsing. There is a major function of your diaphragm that looks like a shape of a parachute. It contracts and relaxes at the same time. So let's see how your diaphragm works in the breathing process. During the breathing process, the diaphragm, the abdominal muscle, and intercostal muscle plays important roles. So what is this abdominal muscle? It is your tummy. Okay. At some point when you breathe, it you know it expels. Or it it moves outward. Same goes with your intercostal muscle, your cavity, your chest cavity. Okay? And by the way, we have two breathing processes, your inhalation and your exhalation. Now let's proceed. During the inhalation phase, the diaphragm contracts in a flat position. This is what happens in your diaphragm. So I just want you to look at the C-shaped position. From the C-shaped position, it goes like a flat letter I position. Just look at the color green. Next, for number two, intercostal muscles contract causes the rib cage to move upward and outward. So I just want you to try to inhale. Inhale, very good, and exhale. I just want you to know that during inhalation, your rib cage moves upward and outward. Okay? How about your thoracic cavity or your chest cavity? It becomes larger. It's just because there is expansion of lungs. So, what happens during inhalation phase? The diaphragm contracts in flat position. The intercostal muscles and rib cage moves upward and outward. The thoracic cavity becomes larger because of the expansion of your lungs. How about the exhalation phase? What happens during exhalation phase? The diaphragm relaxes. It goes back to its original position or shape. The intercostal muscles move down and inward. The volume of the thoracic cavity decreases, and the lungs recoil or deflate. Okay, so that's it for today. I hope you learned something about the respiratory system. For our next topic, we will be proceeding with the circulatory system. This is Sir Daryl reporting for duty.